It's a measuring contest of epic proportions, and you're all wearing strap-ons. Drumming used to be about groove, passion, and making people feel something. But now it's devolved into a race for BPM supremacy and perfectly quantized bullshit. Thanks to fake drumming videos, it's not even music anymore. It's just math. Artspire might be at the center of this disaster, but the problem goes way beyond them. The art is dead and you fucking morons killed it. Oh man, where do I even start with this? I'm not even sure I wanted to make this video because I know the heat I'm going to get for this, because if there's one thing metal musicians can't stand is when somebody starts being honest about things. I mean, it's just so ridiculous at this point. 30 years ago, we had Megadeth being billed as the world's state-of-the-art speed metal band. And that was a little bit ridiculous, but they were a totally kick-ass band at the time. Now the state-of-the-art has become, Bone Force Navigator, or whatever the fuck you want to call it. It's just become an exercise in ridiculousness. And apparently Artspire is looking for a new drummer, preferably somebody who's not human, who can play these ridiculously fast, ridiculously technical drum beats, because somehow that means quality? I don't fucking get it. But here's the whole deal. I didn't even want to make this video, but my buddy Dave, who's like one of the biggest fans of the channel, he's been a huge supporter since like day one. He's like, dude, you got to do a video on this. You got to do a video on this. And I'm getting a few more requests for that as well. So I'm giving what you guys are asked for. Careful what you wish for. You just might not like what's being said. But Dave was cool enough to send me a bunch of links, and I'm going to recommend some other channels who might be a little bit more qualified for this kind of thing, if you're into this sort of thing, to give you a better rundown. I'm just kind of, I'm on the outside looking in here, as it were, and we're going to check out a couple of these audition tapes. Let's take a look at Kevin Paradis here and see what he's got going on. I mean, like, this is some really fucking impressive shit. Okay, so the kicks are total sampled bullshit. There's no question about that. The snare might be augmented. I'm gonna state this when it comes to what I'm calling out on the snare being replaced. I'm only taking an educated guess as a guy who's mixed a lot of this kind of stuff. Maybe not quite this extreme, but I've done a lot of bands like this, and most of the time you got to put something in there because you can only hit the drum so hard when you're playing that fast. Same thing with the kick drums. You have to replace them. I had the extreme pleasure of recording James Payne a few years ago. We were working on a video, and unfortunately, it never saw the light of day. But we got him up to like doing 300 BPM blast beats. And one thing I noticed is like when you get up to a certain speed, because the bass drum skins are so big, they can't rebound fast enough. So you have to sample augment. James, brilliant drummer, amazing technique. It was a real pleasure working with him in the studio. What an absolute fucking champ. But yeah, when you get to that point, it's like, yeah, you have to do the typewriter kick, unfortunately, because the drums just aren't physically capable of snapping back into place. The only way you probably get away with it, maybe if you did some kind of weird Alex Van Halen thing, is if you had 4 kick drums and some kind of mechanical thing to like hit one drum and then the other right in sequence right after it. That's probably the only way you could do it acoustically, because the drums just aren't physically capable of doing what you need them to do at that speed. Let's watch this his hand technique here on the snare a little bit more. I gotta say, yeah, just an absolutely beautiful cymbal recording, by the way, Kevin. Looks like he got some good room treatment up. Nice job, man. I don't know if that's pure acoustic drum or not. It's kind of hard for me to tell, especially with what's going on there. I'd honestly have to look at the tracks. I mean, like, that's the thing. Some sample augmentation is getting really fucking good, and I'm kind of guessing, I'm kind of leaning more towards you might be augmenting there, but I could be completely wrong there. And if I am, hey, I'd be happy to be wrong. You know what? Because if that's just pure fucking your technique, damn, dude, that's really goddamn impressive. That's for sure. All right, next up, we got John Longstreth, and I'm pretty sure there's some sample augmentation going on with this snare here. It's not saying the guy can't play. Like, holy fuck, check this out. Cymbal's not as nice as Kevin's, that's for sure. Dude, let's get some treatment up in your room there. And you've got some side chatter going on that's getting picked up in your overhead mics. That's kind of nasty. The only reason I say this is because I'm dealing with the exact same shit in my room. So go talk to my friends over at Geek Acoustics. They might be able to help you out there. Notice, toms are real. Yeah, the toms are definitely not perfect. They're real, so good on you, John, for doing that. I don't know about that snare. I think it might be being augmented just a little bit. And this is my own experience. Like, I've done a couple projects where we've used gravity blasts, and usually it goes from, really, really strong to just fucking completely vanishing. That was before Drum Leveler came along, though, so I could be wrong here. Kind of sounds like a bit of a sample augmentation. Again, I could be wrong. I'm not going to say that's fact. That's only my guess. Again, if I'm wrong, you know what? That's wonderful. The kicks are bullshit, though. Come on. And they're bullshit in the terms of you're firing off samples, not actually playing the drum. I mean, like, if we heard those kick drums, they probably sound like a wet fart. Next up, we got Flo Musical, who's using the old potato cam. Great job, Flo. I took a look at this a couple of times, and honestly, I don't know what he's got going on here because I don't see a mic on the snare. I don't even see a trigger on the snare. I don't know if this is getting picked up just in the overheads or not. If it is, that's really goddamn impressive. But again, it's like he's just like feather touch on the snare. At least that's what it looks like. I don't know if he's using Drum Leveler to bring that up. I don't know if there's like he's got it mic'd underneath. If it did, it would be really, really thin sounding. Or if he's just hitting it so goddamn hard, it's getting picked up in the overheads. Again, this is something I'd want to look at in the tracks. But I will say this, if you take a close look at it, he's got the snare and the toms almost dead level with each other. The toms are only a little bit higher up. That would be a fucking nightmare to mic up. This would definitely be the source of several arguments in the studio about getting a good snare sound, that's for sure. Yeah, snare kind of vanishes here, honestly. Now, this thing, I've gone to see bands, do this kind of stuff live, and you watch the drummer, and when he hits a gravity blast, the snare just vanishes because there's no sample augmentation going on. Yeah, you can play real fast, but what's the point if nobody can hear it? Don't get me wrong, Flo can really fucking play here. I'm not criticizing his technique at all. Like I said, I think his snare and toms need to be separated a little bit more. It'd be really cool to work with the Flo at someday. I think that'd be really wicked. But like I said, I'm getting a mic on that snare might prove to be pretty fucking difficult. That might just be a room mic on the drums there. Maybe he's not mic'd up at all. Yeah, that might be a couple overheads. That might be a room mic. Honestly, I'm having a hard time making a determination on it without actually looking at the tracks. Just from what I'm seeing visually, from what I'm hearing, definitely sounds like there's no close mic on the snare. And that, again, would be very difficult to mix. That's for sure. Now, here's a couple of really interesting ones. Check out Greg A. Smith doing Bone Force Navigator here. Hashtag drums, hashtag no edit. This is a real snare. Definitely camera edits. Now, this is the thing. It says no edits, but the camera's cutting away at obvious, gaps in the music, rests, that kind of thing. So take that with a grain of salt. This might be real. It might be bullshit. Who knows? I mean, like that's the thing. I mean, like, as a guy who does YouTube for a living, trust me, there's a very good reason why we have multiple camera angles when we're tracking ourselves playing instruments. Yeah, I'm sure you can figure out why. But that is a real fucking snare. and a very fake kick. Greg, that's fucking some damn impressive drumming. Good on you for not sample replacing the snare. That's what snares actually sound like without a bunch of bullshit on them. So that's really damn impressive drumming. Whether or not that's, one take all the way through remains to be seen, but it's still really fucking impressive, dude. And then I got sent this one as well. This is James Norrell. And again, this is impressive as hell because there's no fucking samples going on except on the kick. Definitely sounds like he has drum leveler going on the snare there. I mean, the gravity blasts, I don't think they're being hit quite that hard as they're sounding in the mix, but it's still fucking impressive. Real toms. Gonna say he's got the Lawton snare mic going on right now. Fantastic drum mic. That's what I use. Just killer stuff. It's got excellent hi-hat rejection. It's definitely one of my favorites on the snare. That's for sure. So good choice in mics there, James. But unfortunately, it's not all guys playing their brains out. Let me show you what I mean. Obviously a joke. But I mean, that's pretty much where it's going. I'm hearing this kind of stuff on my mix review show where it's just everything's just been so completely fucking computer aligned and sanitized. It's just not fun. Yeah. Hilarious stuff. Amazing. Okay, next up. This is raw and unedited. This is from Lycanthrope. Well, let's see what we get here. Proof that nothing is sped up. Well, if it's any consolation, I get a lot of submissions on my mix review show that sound exactly like this. So yeah, there is that. Way to go, guys. Way to go. All right. Now, again, I'm not part of this whole online drum community. I'm just a guy who's recording at home trying to make sense of all this shit. And there are guys who are much more qualified to give you proper evaluations on this. One of them is the Natty or Not show by Craig Reynolds. This got recommended to me by a couple of drummer friends of mine where he really breaks it down.
I mean, to be honest with you, it sounds like it's happening.
And he's kind of calling out some bullshit here. And he's catching stuff like that where it's obvious edits and shit like that. But I mean, again, when we get to this kind of speed, it's all bullshit. You have to put samples on shit to make it sound good. It's hilarious that guys are calling this out. Oh, well, he missed a couple. And it's they're still fucking triggering samples. In the studio, you have to do that. If not, you get those really weak snare sounds. That's just how it is. So the fact we're calling it out for, oh, well, you added some shit in there. Well, guess what? In the studio, that's what they're going to do anyway. Also a great show, just not for drum advice. Take the Tech is a guy who's done Road Crew, that kind of stuff. Just go check him out. He's got some really interesting stories and some amazing stuff to check out. I find him very entertaining. Highly recommend him just for general principle. And then, of course, we got Mike Caputo. He's taking a look at a bunch of this stuff as well. And he's showing you what to point out. And again, if you're into this kind of music, which I am totally not, go check out what Mike's got to say.
Left hand, this one-handed roll. And the snare keeps going when he picks his hand up and is not touching the drum at all.
Yeah, it doesn't fucking matter. All you guys fucking are just going to fucking timeline and sample replace everything anyway on a fucking record. And again, this is all just a storm and a teacup. You guys are making a big deal about something that's been going on in the music business for the last couple of decades. That's the thing. A lot of people have been asking me, hey, Glenn, what do you think about AI and how, it can write songs and shit? Now, isn't that going to be the death of music? And I'm like, motherfucker, where have you been for the last 10 years? Okay, we didn't need AI to ruin heavy metal. We started doing that when we started putting it on a grid and timelining everything in Pro Tools. That's when the music started to suck. And the fact that we've just cranked things up and cranked up the BPMs, it hasn't made the music any better. I mean, this is the thing. If your idea of awesome cutting edge metal as Lone Force Agitator, more power to you. But honestly, I don't want to watch any of this bullshit. I'd rather go to a Steel Panther show and watch Styx play because that guy can hit a fucking kit. I'd rather watch Dave Lombardo do a thing. Hell, I was just at Judas Priest. Scott Travis. Now there's a fucking monster drummer. That guy can hit like a fucking beast. What an amazingly talented dude. I'm not saying a lot of these guys aren't talented. I'm just saying, you know, there is something to be said for groove and songwriting as opposed to, hey, look at how many samples I can fire off at one given time. It's not really that impressive at all. Let me rephrase that. In the sense of a physical achievement, yes, it's impressive. Musically, get over yourselves. Metal was this amazing art form that was written by warrior poets. They created songs that actually meant something. We're Not Gonna Take It was a battle cry. Unforgiven dug deep into regret and guilt. Hell, even Eat Me Alive was trying to say something, and I have no idea how the hell we all missed it at the time. But now it's become extreme merely for the sake of being extreme. This was an art form, and the art of it has been forced out by the pursuit of vanity. It's no longer about rebellion or emotion. It's about showing off who can play the tightest, the fastest, the most robotic parts, even if they're all fake. Somewhere along the way, we lost the plot, the message, and the reason we play in the first place. And that is the real tragedy. Drumming, fuck! Take 4. Maybe I'll get it right this time. Fuck. We're not got into the regret. Yeah, fuck.